Jackson Lee. Jackson, how are you?
Doing
good? Listen, obviously you were in the back. You kind of listened to a lot of the questions. I'll start. We'll go into your background in a second, but I'm going to segue right off of that. Just your initial thoughts, because I know that you were part of the selection process last year, but this year, just like Bryce, you're going to be wearing the red, white, and blue. I'll ask you from the very beginning, just how does it feel to be part of Team USA?
Yeah, well, as you said, I was a part of it last year. I was just a nominee, and we all got to go to Mid-Ohio and do a bunch of different events and meet a bunch of great people who could give you good connections and be able to really, really advance your racing career. And just from that weekend alone and being a nominee, the amount of press I got and the amount of great experiences I got to help my career was just amazing. And it was a great opportunity from Jeremy. And then this year to be a part of the full scholarship and to go over to Europe and be one of the 3 drivers who are actually representing the United States, it was an amazing opportunity. And it was similar to how Bryce explained the phone call. I felt like when I got the call from Jeremy, I felt like we were talking for an hour when I was just waiting to hear, okay, am I a part of it or what's going on? But
just tell me.
Even though it was more than probably 2 or 3 minutes, but
right.
When I heard that I was going to be a part of it, it was just, I knew that it was going to be an amazing opportunity and I was going to be able to make a lot of it and really advance my career.
You talked a bit about the selection process last year. Of course, we couldn't do it this year with COVID-19, but it's a really cool program where Jeremy brings all the nominees come, as you said, we're usually at Mid-Ohio. That's kind of the time we do it at Mid-Ohio. You get into a lot of interviews. You end up sitting in with a lot of the teams up on the box. You're listening into during an IndyCar session. You're listening on the radio. Plus, you have a couple of presentations as well. I'd like to know just how much did that change you as a young driver, really being put into the pressure cooker like that?
Honestly, that gave me a really good feeling of what I guess the professional world of racing would be like, to get into. This is how you need to represent yourself and your brands and your sponsors. And this is how and just being able to carry yourself in a way to where you can get yourself in the position to do well on the track before it even starts. And really, the amount I learned that weekend and just figuring out what I need to be able to make it to the next level, that was almost the biggest part of it. And on top of, as I said, all the connections I made, just being able to really get a taste of what I'm going to need to be able to do if I want to make it at the next level was probably the biggest part of that whole Mid-Ohio experience.
Yeah, I have to think that would have really helped kind of prepare you moving into 2020, right? The fact that the simple fact that you get put into a place where you learn so much, you get pressured a little bit, you meet a lot of great people, and then you look towards what you're going to do in the future. Let's stop there. And let's just give everybody who's watching for the first time, maybe doesn't know anything about Jackson Lee. Your father, of course, esteemed broadcaster, NBC Sports, does a lot of other sports as well, but primarily now with motorsports, working with NBC, Kevin Lee. So you have him there. You have that access to your dad and being at the racetrack. But where was it for you that you didn't go, hey, I want to be a broadcaster? You said, I want to race. What was the swap where you wanted to race and when you got into karting for the first time? Actually, you started in quarter midgets, I think, didn't you?
Correct. Yeah. Well, so my word wasn't car like Bryce's. Mine was ball. So Dad thought he was going to save a little bit of money and I was going to be a baseball player. But I think I had some other plans. But actually, a lot of my mom's side, some of my uncles and cousins on her side, they ran sprint cars and go-karts growing up. So I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, and I went to one of my cousin Sam Immel's sprint car races for the first time, and I loved it. I knew that, that's it. That's what I want to do. So, and then later I found out that he started racing quarter midgets when he was 7 years old. And the idea that I could be doing that at such a young age was just amazing.
I'm in.
So, yeah, I begged my parents, and it took a lot of convincing. Well, as much convincing as a 7-year-old can do. But
right.
They eventually let me start racing quarter midgets. And from there, I had some success in quarter midgets. I had a lot of fun, but quarter midgets, I always wanted to be an IndyCar driver. And their names like Ed Carpenter who come out of quarter midgets, but it's more from the go-karting side, and you need to develop that road course experience. So when I was 12 years old, I moved to racing go-karts out at Newcastle Motorsports Park, where former Team USA alums Joseph Newgarden and Connor Daly got their start. So raced out there for a while and eventually started really thinking I want to make a push at this. So got into Formula cars, ran with the Lucas Oil School of Racing. I did some testing with them, And then in 2018, I did the Lucas Oil Carts to Car Scholarship Shootout, where I was able to do really well. I finished 4th and won myself 3 free races in the Lucas Oil Formula Car Series.
Nice. Yep.
So I ran the Lucas Oil Series, and that really got me the experience I needed, taught me how to drive a Formula car and how I can push the limits safely, but also be able to get the most out of the car. And then after that, I finished 4th in the championship, in a close championship. I think I was only 20 or so points off of the win. And then the following year moved into F1600. I had done the previous year a one-off event with Rice Race Prep at Summit Point, where I got to race against Bryce Aaron for the first time.
Yep.
And that weekend kind of gave me a feeling like, okay, I think a year in these cars, I can really learn a lot. So moved in this year, ran with Rice Race Prep, and I've been having a lot of success. I've got the number 52 Tnemec car on the podium out of the last 7 races. So we've been having a lot of success.
Let's have a look. There's that hot rod right there.
Yeah, me and Simon have been going back and forth all year, and it's been a lot of fun to really learn against him and all the other competition. So it's been really great.
Yeah, I know you guys have been running with Greg Rice. Of course, Greg's been in the sport for so long, such a knowledgeable guy, loves the Formula Fords and the F1600s, and has put together a great program. So you move up there, and it's really interesting, right? The amount of stuff you learn so quickly, then the lapping days you did with Skip Barber and Lucas Oil, and then being in that Lucas Oil program, and then being thrown right in. You obviously had a lot of success at Newcastle running in karting. Very much like Bryce, you're pretty tall. So at 6'4", you're pushing a lot of air coming down the straightaway out of the I-70 hairpin. I have no doubt you had trouble in the draft. How was the transition for you, going from the kart into the car? I can't believe it's super comfortable inside that car for you.
Definitely, when I'm sitting on the grid or getting in the car, it's definitely a little bit of a pain. But actually, once I get on the track, it's not that bad. I zone out.
Yeah, true.
The uncomfortableness and focus on what I need to do. But definitely moving into Formula cars. Obviously, I had the initial learning curve that every driver goes through, but it felt a little more comfortable with just being better fit for the cars. And in go-karts, there's the aspect of the drag, but also being so tall, I've got a lot of weight sitting up high.
Upper body weight, yeah.
The way that the kart transfers, it's just a lot more difficult to get the kart to handle how I want it to. So just getting into Formula cars in the Lucas Oil School of Racing, where it's all spec cars, just being able to really show what I can do against equal competition. And
that's really the truth, right? You got so much upper body weight outside the go-kart. When you're in the car, you've got the cockpit and the roll bars against your shoulders and the seat. So obviously a lot more stability there for you. Let's talk a little bit about the transition from Lucas Oil to the F1600 Championship Series. Obviously, Lucas Oil has a lot of young drivers like yourself learning the craft. And then you take that step up. Everybody's kind of learned a little bit. I have to believe that the level of competition, because we've seen, I'll pull a picture up here later, you and your teammate battling it out, but there's a couple of strong teams. The racing that you guys have in that particular category, man, it's just so close up front.
Yeah, there was a little bit to learn. Specifically, the tires they use in F1600s have a little bit more grip. And then it also took me a little bit to get used to the 4-speed H pattern as opposed to the paddle shifters. I admit the Lucas Oil Series spoiled me a little bit with being able to push a button and I'm up.
That's true. That is true. Old school.
Greg Rice has done a really great job of inviting me into the new car and the new team and really making me feel comfortable right off the bat. And then being able to work with everyone at Rice Race and then getting to feed off of Simon's experience to really, really feel comfortable in the series quick. It was a big help working with all of them.
So you're developing, right? And you're winning races now. You and your teammate are battling back and forth. We have one shot we'll have later when we get Simon out here, and you guys can go back and forth on it, where you guys essentially cross the line together. That closer racing with your teammate and other drivers. In your mind, I'm having some success. Is Team USA coming? Is there an opportunity for me? Was that something in your mind? You're like, hey, you know what? This could be leading to where I want it to lead to.
I'll admit, I based most of this season around learning as much as I can in the low downforce cars and with the close competition, but B, trying to really set myself up for that Team USA scholarship, because just the opportunities it's provided for people have just been immense. And just to be able to call myself a Team USA driver and be able to follow in the footsteps of drivers like Joseph Newgarden, Connor Daly, Spencer Pigot, Oliver Askew.
This is it.
Just a lot of big names that I have to follow. A little bit of pressure, but
a little bit.
But I think it's helped a lot of young drivers in their careers, and I believe that it can do the same for me.
And the same in talking to Bryce, the road to Indy's your plan, right? You're trying to get to IndyCar.
Correct.
I love it. All right, listen, we got one more guy to bring in. You stay put in the back. We'll bring you back on. We're gonna have everybody on, but Jackson, stay with me, okay? There we go. We got all three of the guys from the Team USA scholarship. I know Jeremy Shaw would be very proud of you guys. You've acquitted yourself well so far here on the podcast, and thank you for joining me on the first one. Let's talk a little bit about what I want to go to the battle between Simon and Jackson right now, because you guys have been racing together all year. I know that Jackson's got a couple of wins. Simon, you got a couple of wins. Simon, talk about this right here a little bit. This was a race to the line for the win. I'm trying to look real close at it. It seems to me, Simon, they say they're giving it to you. That's super close, dude. That's crazy.
That's the closest finish I've ever had. Anything, hands down. I mean, I didn't even know who won. We did the podium wrong at first.
Did you? What? Really?
Yeah. So since they eventually gave it to me, we had Jackson up on the top step of the podium because they thought he had won, and it came down to a photo review an hour after the race.
Wow.
To figure out who actually won there, and I was asking on my radio, calling all the way to turn 4, who won, and they said Jackson got it by a hair. And I was a little bummed out, but it was a really close finish, and it could have gone either way. I mean, it was such incredible racing that I really think they should have just split the points there. It was such a close finish.
That's unbelievable. Jackson, what are your memories of that one?
It was a similar experience to me. I crossed the line, and obviously I had absolutely no clue who had it.
Yeah.
And it took me until probably around when I got back to the pits. I was on the radio also asking who was it, did I get it, whatever. But
right.
It took almost to where I was back to the pits, probably about a minute and a half to 2 minutes later before they told me you got it, by just barely. And I was excited. It would have been my first win of the season. Came into the pits, did the podium celebration and all that, and it was great. Mom was happy, and then everyone, all of the marshals started kind of gathering around and talking to my team, and everyone was like confused what's going on. And it took maybe another 5 minutes before someone eventually told me, no, it wasn't you. It was a photo, and it was just by an inch, if that.
Let's look at it. Like again, you look at it again. I can't tell. What are your thoughts, Jackson, going over to a couple of tracks you haven't been on before? You're gonna be able to lean on Bryce a little bit, but your thoughts on going to Brands for the first time, Silverstone for the first time?
Well, Low Dempsey Racing, they're a great team, and I feel like they'll be able to get me up to speed very quickly. And I feel like also leaning off of Bryce's experience over in Europe, I feel like it won't be too much of a challenge. It'll definitely be a little bit to get used to.
Yeah.
But I think I'll have, as we mentioned earlier, I'll have a 2-week quarantine period up in Europe. So I'll have a little bit of a time to kind of familiarize myself with just being on my own for a little bit. And then I get to go figure out the race car, figure out the new team. So I think I'll be all right.
Well, guys, for Simon and Jackson, obviously that's some insight from Bryce there on racing in Europe. Simon, you've only done your F1600 here, not just with FRP, but also with some SCCA racing. What's your thoughts about going, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, however long the session is, wheel to wheel, 100% focused the whole time?
I honestly think that the racing might have changed a little bit last year to this year in FRP because we started off the season, and last year, I mean, it was a little processional. I mean, you just want to get to the end and then make your move for the win. This year has turned into quite the aggressive racing. We've been going wheel to wheel throughout the entire race, battling hard. Yeah. And that's where the definition of a teammate really comes in. And I've been really glad to have Jackson there because we've been doing so well working together.
Okay.
Like our minds are on the same waves on track. What we want to do. I mean, we'll work with each other. We'll pass each other, stall on the straight so that we can't get past. And we'll do all these kinds of tricks so that we're battling aggressively throughout the whole race. And it's really turned into a battle for position for the whole 30 minutes of the race. It's really aggressive. And the focus is getting to the end, but we're definitely fighting hard all the way through.
Jackson, would you agree with that assessment?
I would. And I want to say over the offseason, Jim Leo and Pit Fit Training has done a great job of getting me in the shape I need to be in to be able to go that 30 minutes without really getting tired physically and mentally. So I've had that as an advantage, and also having Simon there to work with and really use each other to be able to set us up to be in a position where we're 1-2 by the end of the race. So it's definitely mentally challenging to be able to stay focused and put yourself in the right position and not make any mistakes throughout the entire 30 minutes of the race. But I think we've been able to control most of the races. I think we've done a great job of being able to maximize what we can get out of each race.
I think that's a great point. We talk about fitness and how, it's going to allow you to be physically fit through the end, right? The stability, to be able to be strong and focused, but it's more the mental side that when you start losing the physical side of it, getting tired, then you lose the mental side as well. Let's cap this off, guys. Bryce, I'll come to you first. We're going to kind of essentially say what it's going to mean to you guys when you guys head to the festival and the last national and Walter Hayes. You're part of Team USA, and I was just going through some of the notes. I was looking through the guys, and we've thrown some of the names out already. But one of the cool things I picked up on, I've actually had this in my notes at the start of the year. Last year in the Road to Indy and IndyCar, every champion, an American driver on Team USA, from Team USA. Braden Eves, of course, 2018 scholarship winner, wins USF 2000. Kyle Kirkwood and Oliver Askew, 2016 scholarship winners. They win Indy Pro and Indy Lights, respectively. Joseph Newgarden from 2008 wins an IndyCar. That's obviously got to give you a little bit of confidence. There's an ability to move forward. And of course, with that thing on your resume, it's big. Bryce, what's it going to mean to you? Red, white, and blue. You're carrying the country's colors into some pretty iconic races in the UK.
Well, to say the least, it means the world to me. It's a dream come true. That's what it is. To be flying the red, white, and blue means a lot as well, to represent our country, especially in a difficult time of COVID. Hope we could do them proud. I got to say, thank you for Jeremy Shaw for giving us this opportunity. It's going to give, I believe it's really going to help all of us move forward in our careers and really pursue our dream of being an IndyCar.
Yeah, Jackson, let's go to you. I think any young driver, you're just looking for that, you're looking for that one thing. Maybe, I don't know if it's a sponsor, it's a supporter, but sometimes it's just a break where you get acknowledged in some way that opens other doors. As you said, you learned so much just being part of the selection, the nominees last year. This year, it's your part of Team USA. You're going to potentially have access to some of these guys who have been here before to give you guys, a little bit of input. In the end, what does it mean to you to be part of this team?
Yeah, well, Team USA has been that one big break for many drivers in the past. So I feel like, as I said earlier, this could really be an opportunity for me to expand my career. And just being able to go over to Europe and represent the United States, it's just an honor. Jeremy Shaw and all of Team USA supporters have done a great job in the past. And I'm very thankful that in the crazy year that we've been having this year, that they've worked very hard to be able to put this together. And I'm very thankful that I still get the opportunity to be a part of this, even with everything going on.
I'll ask Jackson first, then Bryce, then we'll go to Simon. Jackson, what's your expectations? What are you thinking? Is it checkers or wreckers?
I have to be confident. Top step of the podium.
That's it.
Yeah, there you go.
Book it.
Yeah, we're going to do the best we can, but I think Team USA, they've done a great job preparing their drivers. I think we'll be able to go over to Europe, and I think we'll be able to be pretty competitive.